let's go to the State Department. So here is this is Matthew Miller is his name. He's the State Department spokesperson, or as I like to call in these situations, the tool. Anybody who ever is the spokesperson for these organizations, they are tools. They are there to lie. They're there to tell you not the truth about what the organization is doing. And Matthew Miller fits the part. I think he fits the part even better than Ned Price. He has that look. The skin on his face is just sinking deeper and deeper into his skull as the soul inside his body just is sapped and sapped and sapped away until he is just a shell of a person giving us talking points about what the US government is doing, and in some cases he's incomprehensible as he speaks.
I know you've had some on record comments on this, but I wanted to ask you about the veracity of the comments. It's obviously a Pakistani document. Does the United States generally think that what was reported there, what was that?
So a few things. One, yes, it's a report reported to be a Pakistani document. I can't speak to whether it is an actual Pakistani document or not. Just simply don't know. With respect to the comments that were reported, I'm not going to speak to private diplomatic exchanges, other than to say that even if those comments were accurate as reported, they in no way show the United States taking a position on who the leader of Pakistan ought to be. We expressed concern privately to the government of Pakistan, as we expressed concern publicly about the visit of then Prime Minister Khan to Moscow on the very day of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. We made that concern quite clear. But as the former Pakistani ambassador to the United States himself has stated, the allegations that the United States has interfered in internal decisions about the leadership of Pakistan are false. As we've stated, they're false. They've always been false, and they remain false.
Just to pursue that briefly.
Okay, well, so let's just break some of that down. So, all right, the Pakistani ambassador to the United States says that the U.S. hasn't been involved in any of the decision making that's gone on, and also the U.S. hasn't said anything about who the leadership of Pakistan ought to be. Well, there's a really good word game being played there by Matthew Miller, and it basically amounts to the fact that, yeah, maybe the U.S. government did not tell Pakistan who should lead Pakistan, but they did say it shouldn't be Imran Khan. They did make it clear that there had been a misstep here, and if the U.S. was going to engage with Pakistan and do all the things that Pakistan wants and help it and be a partner, well, they were going to have to go a different route. I asked Don if the reason for a strong U.S. reaction was Pakistan's abstention in the voting in the UNGA, the UN General Assembly. He replied, the negative said it was due to the prime minister's visit. I think if the no confidence vote against the prime minister succeeds, all will be forgiven. Again, like, how do you look at journalists and say that this is not meddling? You have made it clear that if he is no longer in power, it will be the case that everything can go forward and U.S. and Pakistan relations could be restored. And so here, let's go back to and continue.
Briefly, I guess the money quote in that was saying that Pakistan would, or that Imran Khan personally would have continued isolation because of his visit to Moscow. Is that, can you explain that in terms of, I mean, if we take that as given that that was an accurate comment, what that meant?
So without stipulating whether it's an accurate or comment or not, if you take all of the comments in context that were reported in that purported cable, I think what they show is the United States government expressing concern about the policy choices that the prime minister was taking. It is not in any way the United States government expressing a preference on who the leadership of Pakistan ought to be.
You can go. I think what I'm hearing is that essentially the substance of this report and the purported Pakistani cable back to Islamabad is accurate, but you're saying that it is not the U.S. saying that
So
Prime Minister Khan, then Prime Minister Khan, should leave office. Is that correct?
Close-ish. I cannot speak to the
Close-ish.
veracity. Close-ish. Then I'll explain what I mean. I'll
I
explain what I mean by close-ish.
That's a diplomatic term.
Exactly. I'll explain what I mean by that.
Yeah,
which
that's
is I
Matt
cannot
Lee
speak
asking
to
him the question.
Veracity of this document.
Okay.
What I can't, let me just finish. What I can say, let's even if those comments were all 100% accurate as reported, which I do not know them to be, they do not in any way show a representative of the State Department taking a position on who the leadership. They're commenting on.
You can understand, though, perhaps you can understand.
Hang on. So before we get the rest of what Matt Lee has to say there, he's doing this thing, which I'm very familiar with. It's what the State Department did in the days of WikiLeaks publishing their diplomatic cables. And he says, first off, it's a purported cable. So if it's accurate, maybe it is. I don't know if it's real. It could possibly be made up, but let's just say if it isn't a fake cable, then let me just respond to what's in there and just say with great utmost certainty that I'm actually pretty sure that the thing in the cable, which again, let's be clear, we're not going to say here that it's an actual cable, but since you're asking me the question about a thing that the US did, let me go ahead and just tell you that the US wouldn't do this. We don't lean on other countries and demand that their leadership leave power. And you don't see that in the cable. We're not asking for so-and-so to leave office. We think that Imran Khan is just a policy difference. We're just really just saying that we have a difference of views on the policy. But again, remember, we're not saying that we actually did have this statement. We're not saying we actually did make this statement. Like, it's comical how he's trying to twist, and everything that he's saying, it is abundantly clear that they have been caught. They are still not able to come up with a good response. They had their lie, and the lie was exposed, and now they don't know what to say about it because the people there have this cable, and it did take place. Everything in it is something that you could point to. I mean, Imran Khan has been jailed. He has been removed from power. The U.S. has gone about its response in a way that suggests that it supports this political repression. They're not speaking out against this political repression. By saying it's an internal matter for Pakistan to deal with, they are saying they are supportive. They're saying they're complicit. They're saying they're okay with it. Go ahead, Pakistan, handle it however you will.
Okay.
What I can't, let me just finish. What I can say, let's even if those comments were all 100% accurate as reported, which I do not know them to be, they do not in any way show.
The cipher mentions the no confidence vote.
Taking a position on who the leadership. They're commenting on.
You can understand, though, perhaps you can understand why other countries might think when the U.S. weighs in, even in a way like this, that it is taking a position. I mean, I can think name like 5 or 10 leaders who the United States has sought to oust, including some that it has been successful in ousting, although not only after military invasions. So, it's not an unprecedented thing for a country to think that the U.S. is trying to pressure it into, or trying to make its views known about who it thinks should be the leader of a country, right?
I will say that I can understand how those comments, number one, could be taken out of context, and number two, how people might desire for them to be taken out of context and might try to use them to advance an agenda that is not represented by the comments of themselves.
And do you think that's what's happening here?
I think a number of people have taken them out of context and used them for political purposes. I won't speak to intentions, but I think that's what's happened.
Thank you.
I'm going to continue to go to people that haven't had questions yet. Matt is here every day with questions. So the people that
I will return.
I appreciate that. Go ahead.
Thank you, Matthew.
You made it. Okay, so we're clearly done with Pakistan and the man who is turning into a skeleton before our very eyes has decided that he no longer wants any questions about Pakistan at the press briefing because he's becoming visibly uncomfortable. I think another layer of skin is going to fall off his face if he has to lie anymore about what the U.S. has done in Pakistan. So what you see there is self-evident. The U.S. has been unmasked, and Matt Lee is absolutely right. Off the top of your head, anybody can probably come up with 5 to 10 countries. I know the list is much longer, but let's just say common knowledge, 5 to 10 countries easily where leaders have been couped, they've been removed, there have been plots against them in history. And so the reputation of the U.S. is one in which if the U.S. government doesn't like what you're doing, especially in particular regions of the globe, you know what the message is implicitly or explicitly. Maybe not so much in Europe, but go south of the equator where people are a little bit more of the less pale persuasion. And it's going to be the case that when the U.S. comes to visit and they make their position known, you are to fall in line with that position, or else there will be consequences for you. It will either make the relationship more tense and uncomfortable, or hey, you made it to the end of this clip and you made it through all those ad breaks that we crammed into the video. So thank you for watching, and thank you for your interest in this channel. Please consider becoming a member to support the independent journalism that we do on whistleblowers, Julian Assange's case, secrecy and press freedom related issues. As a member, you get access to not only the full broadcast that included this clip, but you also will get access to broadcasts of the end of week movie show that I do, as well as the bi-weekly show that I host with Rania Khalek, Unauthorized Disclosure, that has been long running for nearly 10 years. And by being a member, you make it possible to do this work on a regular basis. So thank you for your interest in the channel, and we'll see you again soon.